We'll dive right into weather now. We're looking at pretty typical August weather across New Orleans and Louisiana at this point, and we'll hit that before we start talking about the tropics again in just a second. Here's our sky, and I was interested in it earlier because it was completely blue, and then we also, from our camera on the West Bank, had a big sheet of raindrops coming in earlier, and I was like, yep, that's South Louisiana in the summer. At least today we have a little more of that rain around, so our temperatures are held mostly to upper 80s or a few spots that haven't seen as much rain, especially north of the lake. Still really hot, lower to middle 90s there, but it's nice to see at least a little bit of action on the radar at this time of day, so it, at least in a few spots, will kind of cool us down. So that's a thing that we're watching today that's a little different from some of our other afternoons. Lately I've been showing the radar at noon and it's been just completely blank without any rain really coming until much later. Here's Belle Chase with a downpour just weakening now and moving south of Belle Chase. Also around Raceland and Lockport, some heavy storms developing there, and these will bring some quick heavy rain, lightning, and so forth, and they're kind of moving out to the west. So if you're around Chack Bay, Thibodaux, and maybe eventually Homa, you'll be watching maybe in the noon hour to about 1 o'clock or so for those storms to arrive. And we do have a bit of rain across the Gulf Coast, especially the Florida Panhandle. This is with a little weak wave that we were talking about, just some low pressure kind of helping right along the coast for some of this rain to form while our big high retreats a little bit off to the west. Today, we'll say highs for New Orleans, maybe a few degrees higher than they are now, mostly a little bit more reasonable than lately when we've been hitting 97s and 98s the past few days. Again, that higher chance for the scattered rain should help with the heat. At least a bit. Of course, if it's not raining, it's still going to feel hot and steamy. But here we are, 4 p.m., little bit of scattered coverage. And this model predicts a little wave of rain maybe around sunset. So just a little heads up for you there, passing through the area off to the west-southwest. And then we'll fast forward into tomorrow, and it looks, you can see, like we'll have another enhanced day with an enhanced chance for a few showers and storms. Again, potentially helping with the heat. That could be the trend into the weekend too, just kind of that typical scattered storm, hot when it's not raining kind of setup. But we're also, of course, watching the tropics. And so we are watching 2 spots farther out. If you're concerned about these, I really wouldn't be. This one might develop, but you can see it's not really forecast to come near the U.S. This one still has a low chance of developing, and it's looking like it's going to stay out at sea too. But of course, this is the one that is probably catching your eye, and this is the one that we'll be talking about the next several days. And right now, again, it's not anything organized or even close to developed at this point. This is just a tropical wave kind of eventually going to probably somewhere in this area develop into a little bit of a low pressure area, still broad though, and then there is a high chance of it developing into a depression or tropical storm in the next 5 days, but it might take a while. So this early out, it's really not extremely useful to show models and get into specifics with that because we don't have anything developed yet. It's still in the southern Caribbean Sea, and it's going to be a while before it's even in the Gulf, probably Saturday to Sunday. However, we're going to, of course, be watching the steering pattern. We've been looking at it really closely actually for days now. Here is this high, which will be weakening a bit, and it kind of depends on the placement of the high as to where this actually ends up, the exact path. So this is one model showing it just out to the west of our part of Louisiana. Now, yesterday it was even farther to the west, and we will probably in the next couple of days continue to see it change a little bit. So something to watch for sure. And again, that high will be something that we need to watch and see how strong it will be and its placement and so forth. So bottom line, this far out, you know the drill if you're around this area. We don't know exactly what it's going to do yet. We're watching it closely, but it does look like it will develop somewhere near Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula late this week. We will have to watch both where it goes and other factors, including that ridge. If it does approach the Gulf Coast, a lot of people ask this question, well, if it were to get near us, when would it happen? Just for kind of planning purposes. Looks like it would most likely be Monday to Tuesday. So we have several days to watch it, especially this weekend, and see how it develops. By the way, the next 2 names for those 2 80% chance development areas are Ida and Julian. So whatever ends up developing, if it does indeed, in the Gulf, 12, it would either probably turn into Tropical Storm Ida or maybe Tropical Storm Julian if it did indeed get a name at some point. So those are the next on the list. Thinking back to last year, we had already made it to the M storm, and we're not there yet, thankfully, this year. Our 7-day forecast is showing the higher rain chances with a little bit more reasonable kind of heat. Highs in the lower 90s likely through the weekend and into early next week. Of course, we'll watch everything closely and keep you updated.